just start then?
Yes.
It's Dad Podcast to Be.IE. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Dad to Be.IE podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name's Mike.
And this is episode 1 of what could very possibly be a prolific one-episode podcast, or could very possibly be a long-running thing into old age, basically chronicling what you need to know being a dad in the times that are now, which is 2016 in Mike's kitchen. Mike is in pajamas.
Am I looking... I'm not. I changed out of my pajamas. Dude.
Mike was in pajamas until very recent. Okay, so we'll do a quick overview, I suppose, on who we are. If you're finding this podcast, I assume that means you are a dad or are going to be a dad, hence dad to be, I suppose, or you're a mother or somewhere else involved with a baby. So
or you're
work.
a creep and you have no reason for watching this.
Speak more about nappies. I want to know about the nappies. Or were they dirty? So dirty.
No, don't do that. That's weird. And yes, they generally are quite dirty. So yeah, my name is Brian. I am 32. I am a dad of 4 weeks and 2 days, more than that actually, 4 days, of a little girl called Olivia.
My name is Mike. I've done that already. I'm a dad of a baby who's not really a baby anymore. She's more of a toddler now. She's almost 2. Her birthday is coming up this month on the 13th.
I thought you were really padding that out. Her birthday is a day this month, which is coming up soon, and it's definitely coming. It's definitely one of those days, you know, about things, and it's the 13th. Yes, maybe that's the one.
The birthday is on the 13th. She was born on the 9th, but we're having the birthday on the 13th. So
how does that work?
Because we don't care about what day she was actually born. We have to invite people.
Oh, I see. Her birthday then is on the 9th. You're just having a party on the 13th.
Exactly.
Yeah. So actually, Olivia was a month old last week, which is pretty cool. Last week, yeah, 16th. So like, she's a little like. So all she does is like smile and poop and sleep. We're very lucky with our kid. So Mike is a drum instructor / tax person / what else do you do?
A musician.
That's a drum person.
A teacher person.
Don't belittle my craft, Brian. I'm not just a drum person.
I don't just play, I also teach. They're different jobs. Like people, like you can get really, really talented players that can't teach at all.
Oh, my wife is a musician and a teacher, so I know.
Yeah, she's multitask.
She's multitask, and she also is a mother, so good work, you. Me, I have just closed my own business, so I am looking around at other things to do. I used to work in sales and marketing. I also owned a cafe until about 2 weeks ago. So the baby coincided nicely with my deciding that I wanted to make money again. And the cafe was like, no, Brian, you want to waste money. And I was like, okay, cafe. And then the baby was like, wow. And I was like, no. Okay. Okay, so that's what we are, I suppose. You'll probably get to know us more as we go along. I figure as I am just out of dad to be-ness and an actual dadness, we could go through what to expect when you're expecting, but when your wife is expecting as such, and then D-Day itself, maybe, of Labor Day.
Yeah,
not in the American holiday sense, but in the, oh my god, there's a football coming out of Vagina Day. Science.
The secret that we haven't told anyone is this is not our first podcast. We've done this a couple of times,
Mike,
with different equipment.
Secret, Mike. God
damn. And this is the first time that I've bought new equipment to make
fool.
sure that we could do this to a proper standard. And yeah, so we have a new interface, we have new microphones, we have the same old computer, but we should have a good sound now. And it was kind of a decision that we made that we weren't going to get a quality standard on the previous recordings. We'll kind of scratch them. So we might refer to things that we've talked about before Brian was a dad.
Yeah. I might put some of the audio in down the line.
Yeah,
because
it might be a good idea, and it is. It was good stuff. But
we are very good.
The fact, we're not just doing this on the fly or something.
We're delusional as. I mean, I'm trying not to swear. We're delusional. That's the main thing.
I don't think we should try and we need to censor you because you're terrible.
I do swear a lot.
Yeah.
I also make my child swear, so I put my finger on her mouth. I know you can't. This is the visual medium of talking into a podcast. It's an audio medium, but there's a video. I put my finger on her chin and I move her lip, and I've sent some really offensive messages to people I know where the baby's telling them their kids are stupid.
He basically puppeteers his newborn.
Yes, so you can make your child look like it's possessed by the devil. And if you act now for the low price of nothing, I'll show you how.
I just had this image of people putting pictures of their kids in washing machines and in microwaves for Facebook pictures, and then child services contact them and take their kid off them because they're terrible parents. I had this image of you getting a knock on the door going, we have reports of you forcing your child to be creepy and forcing them to...
Forced creepiness is the worst way to teach a child how to interact with people. She's lovely. She's not creepy. I'm sorry, Olivia. If you're listening to... this is a long-term investment in embarrassing my child. But I have got a video of her lying on the ground going, and I was like, Olivia, this is for your 21st birthday. Say hello to all the boys. She's like actively pushing out a good old, like, good number 2. And I am 100% keeping that file for her 21st when she's like all her friends and all the boys that might be interested in her. And then I'll go, here's a cute baby video. Hello, Olivia. So yeah, look forward to that for your 21st, Olivia.
You know, you've just caused your daughter, after the age of 21, to have the nickname Shitzer.
Well, now you have. And it's the future. They could have new names for it. It could be Zapser. Hey, I just had a big zap. Well, me too. So, okay, yeah. So, what to expect when your wife is expecting, and what you should do as a dad, because I've obviously just recently done all the antenatal crap, and I say crap. It's informative, but if you're a man, it's useless. And obviously,
but you have to go, because
you should go. Anything. You need to feel like you're involved.
If someone out there is just about to do the antenatal thing, or their partner has just come to them and say, "Oh, we have to do antenatal," do not turn around to them and say, "It's a bunch of crap, I'm not doing it," because they don't hear what you're actually saying. What they hear is, I don't care about you or our unborn child. So
and if you don't, just don't say that, because it's best to leave these things unsaid. Let's listen to a podcast, pretend you're interested, and maybe every so often we'll make a joke.
Just like shut up and do it, because it's useless. But shut up and do it.
Something I want to do down the line with the website and with the podcast and stuff is a man-tenatal class, which will be like, look, go to the antenatal classes and learn all of it. Because obviously, especially if it's her first kid, she is super concerned right now about what's going to happen. How is the baby going to be okay? How much pain is she going to be in, and all the rest of it? So I think what we should do down the line is maybe have a class where it's like, okay, guys, this is how you can not be the most useless piece of crap in the room next to the chair no one's going to sit in anyway. So, I mean, for me, again, this is going back just over a month ago now. Like, we went in on the Saturday morning, and I think we got there at 10:30, and Olivia was born at 9:15, and for that entire time, all I could do was like, and this is what you should not do. If there's a list of things not to do, and there will be a list on the website, one of them is definitely asking, are you okay? Because they're not okay. If they're having a baby, it's not okay. You're just there to kind of facilitate being shouted at, or being told to get things, or being told to shut up in a lot of not PG language normally. Until they get the epidural, then it's all good.
Yeah, my advice on that one would be...
Don't make jokes.
Don't make jokes.
I did.
Brian makes jokes in all of his uncomfortable situations when he's not sure how he should feel about something, or if he feels nervous about something, or if he's scared, he makes stupid fucking jokes.
I find that hilarious. As in, okay, so we will meander a lot. But Olivia she was actually in hospital for 4 nights recently with, she had a bacterial infection. Like, she had no temperature and she had no fever, and she wasn't actually sick, but she had a really bad rash and it was at risk of getting really infected. So they kept her in the hospital. So I messaged Mike, because we were supposed to record this, and I said, and I was actually supposed to close the cafe on a Saturday and have this big thing, but obviously I couldn't. So I said, Mike, oh man, she's got the worst case of jaundice. And I sent him a picture of an Asian baby, and Mike would not respond for like a day. You can ask Jenny, I lolled my ass off as I was sending that. I was like, Jenny, look what I'm sending to Mike. It's got jaundice. And Jenny was laughing too. Olivia was in an incubator. And I was very scared, but I thought it was very funny. I sent a picture of an Asian baby.
You see,
it's racist and funny. So, I mean, it ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, and I really didn't know how you were going to navigate your way around that story, and you didn't. You just went right there.
I think it's hilarious.
That's cool. So
if you look up, this is what I did on my phone, Asian baby. There is a picture of a baby with like a Chinese headscarf on, waving a Chinese flag, and I have sent that and the same joke to at least 5 people now.
No response. Anyway,
oh no, everyone else laughed. Like, you're the one who didn't.
I'm a normal person.
Don't laugh. Listening to this, you're all the weirdos. Everyone else is normal. That's laughing. Good on everyone else.
So my list that I'm trying to talk about, but Brian keeps cutting in on me. The first thing you don't do is make jokes about it.
That was my thing.
The second thing I would suggest is that you don't voice any concerns that you have directly to your partner. If you have a genuine concern, like, take to one side, talk to the nurse, talk to the midwife, but don't voice them out loud in front of her, because that's going to be multiplied by 10 if you're like, why is this happening? And then she's like, oh my God, I hadn't thought about that. Why is that happening? And you're just going to make the situation much worse. I'm not saying shut your mouth and don't ask questions, but be a little bit savvy about how you ask them, where you ask them. Come up with a list of things that you can make sure are present, like water, maybe ice chips, stuff like that.
No, ice chips isn't going to work because you're in a hospital in Ireland. There's going to be like, here's a room, you're going to have a baby, there's no fridge or anything. What you will have is a small bit of water in a bag. What you need to bring, see, and this is my pro tip of a lifetime, which was a lifesaver for me, is you've got your bottle of water, bring a bendy straw. Because then you can hold it up to her lips and she doesn't have to hold the bottle, because mid-contraction she will not give a absolute flying crap about holding the bottle. You have to, and if you pour it over her face and give her too much, then you're dead. So bendy straw was the best thing I could ever do, and refill that water bottle. I was like, you know, the Tour de France guys. So there's a guy with a sponge or the water going, keep going, hand the bottle. I was like, yeah, go on, keep going, have some water. And then I latched onto that as my thing, and I was like, do you want some more water? Do you want some more water?
Yeah, so you were a provider of something that you needed.
Do you want some more water now? And then like she's like, Brian, I am having a contraction. I am out of my mind on drugs. I don't want any more water, thanks.
What drugs did she use?
Epidural and then the gas and air. She was stoned out of her mind on the gas and air. Like, we're talking like we'll run through. Okay, so this is obviously no labour is typical. What happened to us is, as I said, we left the house, got to the hospital in Dublin at 10:30. Jenny assumed it was a false alarm, so I was like, okay, well, we'll like obviously they'll check you, and then if it's a false alarm, we'll go home, no big deal. So because she was in no pain really, but she'd had what is called the show. So we went up, and the doctors were like, went into the waiting room of the Coombe, and they were like, okay, well look, yeah, you don't seem to be uncomfortable, we'll check. They seemed very skeptical. They were asking her questions, have your water broken? And Jenny said no. So they brought her in, they checked her, they were very skeptical, and they were like, oh no, it turns out you're actually at 3 centimetres, you're in labour, congratulations. And I was like, yeah, high five, it's not a false alarm, oh crap, we're having a baby now. So they said, look, go away and come back. So you went away and came back like 2 hours later, and the pain had intensified because her waters had broken. Intensified is a very light way of saying she was in a lot of pain. And they were like, okay, we'll just check you there now again. You're still at 3 centimetres. Go and come back in like an hour or 2 hours if you can. Jenny's really polite and nice. So Jenny was like, sure, no problem. I'll go away and come back. And then she was in agony, off and on for 2 hours. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, guys. This is going to be tough to watch. Like, this is a lot of pain. I mean, I was like, yeah, go on, squeeze my arm, squeeze my hand. Yeah, Jesus, like that woman. I don't know how she did it. So then we came back after 2 hours. Jenny couldn't even lie down in the bed properly. She was in like real discomfort. And the nurse was like, okay, no, we'll check you now. And they checked, and she was 7 centimetres. So she was like active labour. Like, they could see some stuff. And I was like, oh crap. And they got her put a wheelchair straight into the delivery suite, and they got her on the bed. She was in so much pain she almost fell over on the bed. And they were like, okay. So the midwife was trying to be real nice, and she said, so just, you know, if you could have this baby in the next hour or less without any medication, would you be interested? And Jenny was like, just give me the damn epidural, if at all possible, please, god damn it. And luckily enough, there was time. And then literally, like, this is the thing, guys. All respect to people who have a natural baby, but once she got the epidural, she was relaxed as. I could make jokes, we could have conversations. You watch that Spike thing of how much pain she should be in, and she's sitting there like, yeah, I'm kind of hungry, I could do with a bar or something. So I would say it's tough, but if you get the epidural from there, it should be kind of, not plain sailing, but a bit more manageable for you to be like, what can I do for you? And her not try and murder you.
Yeah, I mean, Michelle had an epidural as well, and we had decided way before we had gotten to labour or hospital that's the way we wanted to go. Because we'd done our research, and I had felt that the nurse that had done the antenatal classes was really pushing no epidural. They're like, you know, they don't say it directly, but
ours did.
Almost like, if you care about your baby, you won't take the drug, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck you. That's really low. You don't need to, like, throw a guilt trip on people. Sure, if you're like a kind of person that wants to go completely drug-free, be my guest. It's your body. It's your pain threshold. If you can take it, yay for you. But quite honestly, don't give me that shit about if you care, you won't do it. That's just pandering to the people who feel guilt about their child. You know?
What that is, because we had the same instance in our antenatal, and it's easier for the nurse, for the midwife, if it's natural. Now, it's probably easier for the baby a little bit too, but because when they take the epidural, it relaxes things down there and gives less control. It makes it a longer process and a harder job for the midwife, and obviously more chance of using forceps and all the rest of it.
It makes more sense because if you're in an awful lot of pain,
Yeah.
you push an awful lot harder, and the body pushes the baby out.
Yeah,
more,
it's a
more
natural
actively
thing, yeah.
than the body just being relaxed and the pain not being.
I like how we're like, when I was in childbirth and I was able to push these things. Look, I know we don't know the pain, obviously. I can't really mention the pain apart from what I've seen. But they are pushing that epidural being a bad thing. Apart from, obviously, it's a bit better for the baby. It makes their job 10 times easier. And fair play to midwives, they're awesome. But if they're going to make you feel bad about it, fuck them. Pardon my French, but fuck them.
Big time. So my personal opinion is I'm glad that Michelle took the epidural. Now, we had a different experience than you with the epidural, but I'll get to that. The epidural, I think, was a good thing, and I would say on child number 2, when and if we will be going epidural again. That's just my opinion. The epidural, when Michelle got it, it didn't really work.
They say it's like 1 in 10 won't work, and 1 in 100 will like paralyze the wrong end of your body, and 1 in 1,000 is like, yeah, you might never fucking be able to smell the color purple or something again.
Yeah, they give that warning, but when you're in pain, you're like, if it's 1 in 2 never walk, I'm still taking the epidural. You know, the anaesthetist came in and gave Michelle the epidural, and it seemed to work. But I mean, how do you know? You've never had an epidural before. You don't know how well it should work. And when you're only going into the spikes of labor, you're not sure how much it should taper off when the epidural kicks in. You're not sure when it's fully kicked in. So she was still kind of waiting for it to fully kick in when the nurses were saying, "Oh, it's after wearing off." Whatever way it went down with us, it didn't really work. And they were saying, "Oh well, the anaesthetist isn't available anymore," and we're like, "What?"
Which hospital was this? Waterford?
We're in Waterford.
Okay,
yeah. That was a lie. That they just wanted us to kind of go, "Oh, okay, I guess we'll go forward without it."
Yeah.
And Michelle was in so much pain that after a half an hour of lying to us and telling us that the anaesthetist wasn't available anymore, we've called him. He's on his way.
Yeah.
And
from the break room,
probably. And he called in, and he's like, "Oh God, yeah, oh definitely." You know, no doubt in his mind that it was necessary, but they were just like, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine."
Not to belittle midwives. But
no.
Maybe they just didn't understand like that the severity of the pain. I think because they see it so much, it's like second nature. It's like, breathe through it. Because
I'm sure you're desensitized to it quite
it's routine.
A lot.
I mean, they see a lot of shit. Literally, they probably see an awful lot of that too. I think when Jenny had it, just in case everyone knows what epidural is, but how it works is there's this massive syringe, and then they feed a wire through it. What they try to do is they inject directly into the spine, and they try and drive this little thing through the needle into one of the kind of canals as such in the spine that goes, spinal cord, that goes to your brain, and then desensitizes the receptors of pain from the waist down. You can still move your extremities, but you don't really have much control of them, and you don't really feel as much in it either. I mean, like 20 years ago, it was a case of you felt nothing from the waist down, you couldn't walk. Now it's a bit different. So yeah, Jenny, like, I mean, I saw the syringe. It's not cool. But like went in within 35 minutes. She was like, "Oh, that's much better." And then there's a button you can press for more if you think you need it, but Jane didn't press it. So by the time the pushing came along and it kind of wore off, it was at the case of you need to get this baby out now, or
you don't really have time to worry about the pain when you're pushing.
Yeah, well, we don't. They don't either, obviously.
No.
Oh yeah, this must be really patronising for girls listening who've had kids and go, they don't even understand. I just go on like what I've seen. In the same way I'd review a movie, I can review Childbirth. It was 1 out of 10, and I would not do again, but would probably have to do again at some point.
Yeah,
not have to, but you know,
we're not pretending that we went through it, right? But what you guys need to understand is we were there, and we watched someone that we cared about in active labor. We watched them in pain.
Yeah,
and we felt helpless in that situation. So, quite honestly, we're not saying we felt the pain, but we experienced the helplessness of being around it. So when we say labor, when we say pain, when we talk about it, we're not pretending that we felt that. But there's a different kind of helplessness when it comes to being a dad, especially a dad that's trying to be actively involved. You know, I mean,
yeah, because it's not the norm. Apparently, well, I don't know. I've seen people who are and aren't, but it's like, I took an active interest in everything and trying to help in any way possible. But it's just, you will never feel more useless than you will in a labour ward. And I think the genesis of the idea of Dad2Be.IE was me thinking like, and Googling and looking on YouTube and stuff for things like, what am I supposed to do? On the website, again, the plan going forward, I want to have how to change a nappy properly and quickly, and how not to care about poo, which you won't after a couple of weeks anyway. You'll want to see more poo at sometimes because it's like, hey, she hasn't pooed in a day. What the hell? I want to have a survival guide for labour. I want to have a survival guide for pregnancy. I want to have a week by week for pregnancy, for what you can do to make things better for her, to make things better for you. I want to have all the stuff that wasn't available to me that I could see straight away, and a forum or a community where dads to be and mums to be and dads that are currently dads and have tips and stuff, like for everyone to kind of come together and say like, oh look, I don't know what to expect this way, or the doctor said this is an issue, or if you're worried about something, you can say to somebody who's been in that situation recently, look, we're going in for a C-section, what do we need to know? And I haven't had a C-section, I don't fucking know, but I'm sure someone will, and we'll get them in, or we'll have them on the website, or we'll have them on the podcast. Or people who are worried, like I was, about how much sleep you're going to get. I mean, I like my 8 hours sleep. I can't operate without a shower in the morning, coffee as well, and I can't operate without 8 hours sleep normally. We've been exceptionally lucky with Olivia. Exceptionally lucky. She will sleep until she needs a feed. But some kids are different. So it's just about how to manage that. The first night we were at home, I was so paranoid about Olivia being okay that I felt like physically ill. I was like, I just kept looking across, is her heartbeat okay? And then I was like, oh, she's crying. So I picked her up, and I stressed myself and herself out by not sleeping that night, being so concerned about her. At 4 o'clock that morning, I was wondering, what am I supposed to do? Can I do this? I mean, this kid's only 2 or 3 days old. What am I supposed to do to make sure she's always okay? How do I manage this? And then I want dads to know that they can go on the website at 4 a.m. on your phone when the kid's maybe not sleeping or has a bottle in their mouth or whatever, that they can go and find advice on how to get your baby back to sleep, what to check if they are crying. Is it wind? Is it a nappy thing? Are they hungry? Are they just wanting a cuddle?
I'm not sure I understand.
Look, okay, I know you understand phone, but don't give me your shit, yeah?
I don't want people to think that we're here giving a chronicle of the way it needs to be or the way it should be. We're giving our experience as two guys that are dads for the first time. We don't know professionally what the right thing to do is. We're just going to give you what we experienced. When we have questions, we're going to get people who know the answers to come on and talk about that.
Either on the website or on the podcast or on a video. It has to be some way of having like a database. Because if you look for mothers, there's everything. Understandably, because they're like the main event on the day. But for dads, there's like subsections and stuff, and I want this to be, and I'm not, this isn't a misogynist thing, this isn't a sexist thing, this is an important thing you're going to do, one of the most important things you're going to do for the rest of your life. So there needs to be an amount of information there for you from the day you see that pregnancy test until the day, I don't know, the kid's 18 and moves out of home. I mean, that's Jenny said to me 4 years ago, oh, I want to have kids. I love kids. And I was like, yeah, okay, I want to have kids, but I don't like teenagers. And I don't know how I'm going to manage teenagers. And I know the kid's only 4.5, 5 weeks old now, but that's something that they're going to have to cross in the line.
Yeah, we're not saying for 1 second that we are the dads and we are just as important as the mothers, all right? We get that this is your show, okay? But we also get that 99% of the stuff out there is geared towards the mother, and there's very little for the dad.
Especially the first 9 months.
If there is a mention of the dad, it's like, the dad's just going to be there anyway,
You better be there to buy her chocolate.
If he shows up,
Yeah.
he might be in the pub. I mean, fuck off. Really, genuinely, fuck off. Because I'm shitting myself the same as everybody else is, okay? I'm just as nervous as the mother who is carrying the baby, because it's my child, okay? I genuinely care about this situation, and for you to make such light of and talk nothing serious about how I'm experiencing it. So that, for me, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, like, as I said, the genesis of the Dad2Be.IE is that we were thinking about in the situation where I was in, where I was like, okay, my first kid, I have no exposure to babies, like none. I've minded a few toddlers and stuff for a few hours with Jenny or with like other relations when I was a kid, but I want there to be, this is the month 1, this is month 2, this is month 3 of pregnancy. It's the week by week of pregnancy. It's what, like, not only how is like, because there's loads of those videos, how is the fetus forming and stuff, but also what do you need to know at this point? What should you have done? I mean, financially, what should you be doing? In terms of decor of the room, what should you be doing? What do you need to have? I mean, we spent not too much money, luckily, but I know people have spent upwards of 15,000 getting ready for a baby. Realistically speaking, I mean, what do you need to have day one? That's what we'd be like geared towards. What do you need to have in the bag for the hospital? Because there's loads of lists out there, and it's like, where do I get these things? I'm a man. I don't know what maternity type pads are. I don't know what breast pads are. They sound fun. Can I wear them? I like breasts. You know? So, I mean, hopefully down the line, To Be.IE can be a place for dads to go.
Yeah, exactly. And have a bit of fun with it as well.
Oh, of course. There's another, as Mike pointed out earlier, I don't like being overly serious at any time, including funerals and weddings, including my own. I did make a That's What She Said joke at my wedding.
Okay.
That's just a quick one. So they were putting the ring on. I was trying to put the ring on Jenny's finger and it wouldn't get in. And she said, just shove it in there. And I was like, that's what she said. And then realised I was at my own wedding and that Jenny would murder me. But she didn't. So, well, hey.
Yeah, and the priest was cool.
We didn't have a priest. We had a humanist ceremony because we're not religious. Boom.
You're so modernist.
Yeah. We're not baptising the kid or anything. Take that, schools. Which means she doesn't get a middle name, which is kind of sad because I wanted to have an M middle name, so her initials would be OMG, and she would really appreciate that when she's 30. Maybe not.
You can give her a middle name.
I know I can, yeah, but it's not the same really. I'll try to give you a brief funny story. As I said, I had no experience with kids, and when we had Olivia home, I took 2 weeks off. I was closing the cafe anyway, so I took 2 weeks off and spent them at home so I could do nighttime feeds and stuff and help out.
Paternity baby. Oh yeah, it's not a thing if you're self-employed. It just means closing your business. But do you not get money from social welfare?
Nothing.
There's nothing there.
No. Also, I closed my business down, so I get nothing either.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's election season, people. I know it's not when you listen to this, probably, but still.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I'd be surprised if this actually goes live because
no,
we've done this so many times at this stage.
So
let me just point out as well.
Granddad to be.
Brian, prior to Brian finding out he was going to be a dad, he was almost uncomfortable around kids. Like he'd like, go, "Hey, child, yeah, there you are. Get away from me now."
No, I always talk to kids like they're people.
Yes.
Because they're like patronising them. Now I've got a kid, I'm like, "Ooja booja, baby," because it's just natural to sound like a moron to your child. Anyway, I'm at home. Kid's about 7 days old. I have changed nappies. I have fed. I have winded. I've got like all the basics down. So Jenny had done the nighttime feed. It was 7 o'clock. Kid was like, and I was like, okay, let's check you out. And I was like, oh, well, she's got a bit sick, so she's got a wet baby girl. Wet nappy. Okay, cool. And what's this? Yeah, she's probably hungry. Okay, cool. So I was like, I know what to do. Brought her in, fed her. I was like, cool, okay, fed, winded. I said, okay, let's change that nappy. Change the nappy like a pro. I mean, I was like a ninja. I was like, and I sang, I was like, yeah, we're changing your nappy, gonna make you happy. And I put on her fresh clothes and she gave me a little smile, which I was like, cool, the baby's starting to smile. She's only like a week and a half old. This is awesome. Not knowing that also that might mean she has really bad wind. So I picked her up. I was like, okay, let's get you into the kitchen because Dad wants to put the kettle on for coffee. And I carried her, much like I would all the time. And she looked at me and she gave me that smile. And I looked down and I was like, oh, look at you understand. And then she went, blah! And puke came out her nose, it came out her eyes, it came out her mouth. She just covered herself and her fresh clothes and everything in just like cottage cheese everywhere. And she just looked at me like the most relieved baby in the world. And Jenny was still in bed and I was so proud for a second. And then she did that and I said, Jenny, I've broken the baby! I panicked and that's what happened. So yeah, just when you think you got it down, that's when they decide to explode. That is my funny story about exploding babies.
Did you have anyone else in with you?
No, the coombe, they're like, this is like clinical. The baby was born at 9:15. They let us have the room for like 2 hours, which is not normal apparently. Give us tea and some toast. Put her down in the ward, and then they're like, okay, Dad, you've got to leave now. And then we brought her home maybe 3 days later. That's when people saw. No, we had some visitors come up, I think on the Sunday. Because Jenny felt a lot better than she thought she would and felt up to having visitors. But no, they don't really let you have anyone else in with you. It's just the dad and the mum and the midwife.
Because when we were doing it, like my wife is from California, so
America.
her mum came over for the pregnancy.
Really? The whole,
for
like-
labour. No. She was over
I thought
in
she arrived like for 9 months. Like,
the
"I'm
latter
here."
end of the 9th month.
Yeah.
She arrived. She was here for 2 weeks, give or take. Before the it was a little more because Michelle was like super late. She was almost induced.
Really? Jenny
Yeah.
was 5 days over.
Michelle went over the I think they gave her 12 days.
Yeah, that's they 12 now, and they'll induce in the coup anyway. 14 max.
She went in for to be induced. An induction?
No, that's not it. They
It's
didn't.
not, it's not the thing.
No.
It sounds like it's the thing
An
you'd
induction,
say.
maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
Induction sounds
She
really
went in to
offensive.
be induced.
Yes.
And they used a gel to try and activate labour instead of actually inducing her.
Brill cream or
I think it was deep heat.
oh Jesus Christ!
Oh,
Sounds horrendous.
it burns us.
Is that
But,
pregnancy pain? No, we actually used the wrong tube.
It was pretty nasty. In that the gel really didn't work. It kind of brought on a semi-labor, and she started getting contractions. And
It brought on a semi.
you're terrible.
I know.
You are terrible.
I tried so hard not to say it. I hid my face in my jumper not to say that joke.
I wish the video was recording still so we could see you.
Cheeky smile.
Your reaction to a semi-labor, and you're
I've
like,
got-
oh,
it's
it's
my-
like a penis
my-
joke.
my inner
It's-
teenager.
A semi is another way of saying a half-hard penis.
Penis.
He said penis. So it brought on a semi-labor, but dude, I'm trying to say it. It brought on a semi-labor, but it didn't. Like, we thought she was in labor. We were like, okay, so this is what labor feels like, but it wasn't. It was 10% of what labor feels like.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, so we're on the way, and then contractions stopped, and we're like, what's going on? And they came back in again. They had this monitor on her.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we're going to do another inspection. And it really got tedious because, I mean, we were in the hospital for 3 days before.
Ugh.
We were in labor for 3 days.
Jesus.
And
We had less than 12 hours, pretty much, which was great.
you textbook, seriously.
The whole thing was textbook.
Yeah. Awesome. Well done. Well
Hey,
done. High
go
five.
me. Good genes.
Good job. But 3 days in there, baby just didn't want to come out. Obviously,
Comfortable.
that womb is just really spacious.
She just liked her womb.
She did. A womb with a view.
Not really.
Well, it did at the end.
Darkened womb.
So they then gelled again. It didn't work the first time. Let's do the exact same thing again and hope for a different result.
The definition of insanity is...
Yeah. And we got the exact same result. She went into labour,
Yeah.
and then came out of it again. And when she finally went into labour on the third gel,
Yeah.
labour actually hit. And instead of Michelle lying on her back with the monitor on her belly, going for the contraction, she was on all fours.
Barking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard-
basically doing the downward dog, just going.
That's what got us into
I'm
this
not
mess.
going to make the noise she made because I'd have to scream into the microphone and it would just peak everything. And it was she was in the kind of pain that you'd expect someone to be in if they were being burned to death. And I was
The wrong tube of deep heat again, Mike.
I was standing there like the most helpless. Like,
Of course. I mean, that's the problem. Well, not the problem, but that's what labour. It's all her.
half of me wanted to go and grab one of the nurses and just shake them violently and go, do something for my wife.
Give her drugs now. Give
And
me drugs.
that has me thinking that's pretty much like, I mean, there's guys that don't give a shit about their kids. There's guys there that have kids all over the country. They don't even want to see them. I don't understand that. I think that's less than animal.
Yeah, well, that's
because
anti-evolutionary.
even animals care about their offspring.
Well, some of them do. Some of them eat them.
Some of them eat them.
Yeah, so it's not entirely animalistic.
But like for a guy to not for what I experienced in that labor ward to turn into not giving a shit at all,
Yeah.
that's not human to me. So,
But they wouldn't have been there.
I'm gonna refer just to humans, to people who actually care about their partners and care about their children.
Don't foresee people who would not be interested going to the website or listen to the podcast. Really.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's like we heard a natural birth going on. It sounded like a murder scene. And it went on from when we got into the labour wards to when we left. 6-7 hours of like a really bad opera murder crossover. And like contractions can last 90 seconds and they lasted. And Jenny was like, I think that made Jenny feel less bad because she was like, at least I'm not in that pain. Because that woman sounded like something was tearing a hole through her, which essentially it was. But like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, okay.
Like that.
I don't want to
Alien.
scare. I don't want to scare people. Don't watch Alien.
Don't
watch Alien.
Don't go below the waist.
Yeah. Oh no, I did.
I did not.
I tried not to. Okay, so two things of the things that just jumped in my mind there for the childbirth, and I will do again a blog post or a video about this, and not a graphic video. In the movies and on TV, there's a lot of things that don't happen, like they put the sheet up over the legs and stuff. They don't do that in the coombe. So you can't see. They don't care anymore because who cares? You might want to see your kid born. I tried so hard to look at Jenny's face or at the wall behind Jenny and not see down there. But once the nurse said, "Oh, I can see the head. There's loads of hair," I was like, must not look. Like, oh my God, there's a head. I shouldn't. Oh my God, that's a baby's head. And then did not expect it to be as it was, because that head's there for a few seconds. Like, not even for a few, that's it. That could be there for a minute or two. And then you're like, okay, so it doesn't just come in like 4 or 5 pushes. It can take like 20 minutes, half an hour, 3 days of labor to get that baby out of there.
Yeah.
So I want to have like debunking all the fallacies about childbirth and stuff as well on the website. Fallacy? Yeah. So look, I think we'll wrap up the podcast here. But what I want people to do is to tweet at To Be.IE on Twitter. Probably the best way is Facebook. We'll put a post up for the next episode and say, look, what questions do you have about labour and childbirth? And we'll ask, if we don't know the answer, or what do you need to know? What do you think you need to know? I've a list of questions that I had pre-childbirth about what to do. And then we're going to start sharing a series of videos we're working on about the whole pregnancy thing, what to expect when she's expecting, and then we're going to start doing other things as well. So if there's something you guys would like to see us do or hear us talk about, or have a guest you'd like to hear on the show, please do get in touch. We have a few people lined up to come on.
I mean, really what's going on here is it's the two of us having a conversation, both being new dads.
Yeah.
Well, I'm newish. I am new.
You're like level 2 and nearly, and I'm level 0. So
Yeah.
that's if I like video games. So
You're a noob.
I like to think of it as leveling up in a video game. So when I changed my first nappy, it was like achievement unlocked, diaper, bing. And you're probably at achievement unlocked, potty train, bing.
Yeah, we had our first. First I had my first solo experience of a dry nappy. And
Mike, how old are you?
And Mila getting up
Is this your nappy or the
looking
kids'?
to use the potty, and the nappy was still dry. She used the potty, and I could put back on the nappy as was because it was perfectly dry. Usually there'd be a little pee in it,
of course.
and you change it. This is my first. Now it's happened a couple of times, but Michelle got them every time. This was my first.
I want to.
I was pretty proud of that. I was like, high five
You get
that
in there,
baby.
and then she put it in your hand. I want to do videos, like I said, of about like the what to expect and stuff. But also, as like, I want to do videos on how to change a nappy because I had no idea. And there are ways of doing it wrong. And when you do it wrong, what's going to happen is the baby is going to shit on you. There's no two ways about it.
It'll come out the side of the leg,
the back,
yeah,
the punani.
come up the back, yeah.
Yeah, we had a three nappy. We had a 3 nappy emergency the first week where I started changing her. First pooey nappy I was changing on my own with Jenny supervising like a foreman. So she was on the changing mat in our room. I was changing it and I was like, okay, she's farted, she's finished. Started pulling it away and put the fresh nappy in, and sure enough, brown chocolate ice cream kept going. And I was like, okay, this is weird. So the second nappy there, put this in the bag, keep going. Waiting for her to finish, then she just starts farting, and because she farted and I'm a child, I laughed continuously and fell over. So, coming soon, how to change a nappy.
Yeah, I mean, we're just sitting here having a conversation. We just recorded as a podcast because we feel there's a lack of information out there.
There's a gap there somewhere.
For new dads who really want some information. They don't want to be bored to death by HSE.
No. This is
websites.
what you should do
Exactly,
if you are
yeah.
having baby. Baby will require pants, sleep,
It's a
fart.
real life experience from us, and this can't work unless there's some kind of interaction from you guys who are listening. So if you have any feedback at all, that would help motivate us to keep going. If you have any kind of questions, that would help us to find answers. It could be something we're kind of looking for answers on ourselves. It could be something we haven't thought of.
Yeah.
But feedback in general, at the very start of a podcast, it really is the lifeblood of the podcast. So
yeah, we don't expect to get flooded with information, with questions and all straight away. But I mean, guys, down the line, I want this to be a place for dads to go from 0 months or 1 month expecting the baby to the kids 1 month away from going to college, that we can all converse about things, and guys with more experience and guys with less experience can get together and they might say, look, you're having this thing, we had this thing, so maybe you should try this and it'll work.
yeah, well, listen, guys, thanks for listening. if you listen to the podcast and you got to the very end, thanks for sticking with us. And please just get in touch, tweet us, Facebook us, just say, hey, listen to the podcast, looking forward to the next one. That would make my day if I got even one person to do that.
Give us a review on iTunes, share it with your friends if you've got someone who's expecting or is a new dad or is the funny dad who likes stupid jokes and things about babies. Send them our way. So guys, I suppose that's it. So from me, Brian
and Mike,
we shall chat to you next time. And don't forget, this podcast is brought to you with help from our sponsor, taxpro.ie. If you are working in Ireland, think you're due some tax back, go to taxpro.ie and get in touch with them today. Okay, so that's that done. What the plan is?
Check our list.
Making my
way in the world today, takes everything you got.
Do you want some water?